Hi, I'm Karen Walker. I'm currently the chairperson at Common Equity Housing Limited, and it gives me great joy to welcome you to the co-op family. I've been in my housing co-op now for 24 years, and I can certainly say it's been a fundamental foundation for the way that I've lived my life. It's been essential because I've been able to maintain a secure house over that time and stay in a group with a lot of very happy, active, participatory members, many of us of which become very good friends over the years.
Okay.
Cooperative housing is a really special program. It's somewhat different from other community housing in that it does have an expectation on its members of active participation, but there's a real joy that comes from that. I've certainly learnt skills that I would never have picked up otherwise. I now know how to repair a fence rather than replace it, for example. But also important bookkeeping skills and negotiation skills, and understanding rental controls and financial viability. So it's certainly a different program from just being a tenant in a direct landlord. Now, there's a lot to learn when you come into the co-op program. You've got to learn all of the acronyms and understand why we send some of our money off to Common Equity Housing so that they can put it away for our future third schedule maintenance requirements and meet some of our obligations to the bank and other financial responsibilities. But don't be daunted. These are important life skills, and certainly I've benefited from it, but I know many other co-op members who have taken the skills that they've learnt through doing work in the co-op and taken that outside and enhanced their lives in many different ways. So we all start from a point of not knowing much, but pretty rapidly get across it all. Being in a housing co-op is a great lesson in patience and learning how to live with a whole variety of different people, and to understand the pressures that different life stages bring. But to be there for support to each other has been one of the privileges of being in a housing co-op. It's taught me, as I said, patience, but it's taught me also a great knowledge and love of other co-ops, and I'm happy to support places like Devondale, some of the big dairy co-ops, because we're all part of one big family going back to Rochdale pioneers. Common Equity Housing Limited is very unique in housing provision. I'm not aware of many other organisations where it is member controlled, where being a tenant of the program, being a member of your co-op, means that you have a share in the running of the company. We are Common Equity in the co-ops, but Common Equity is us. It's an important symbiotic relationship, and we both need each other to survive. The Common Equity Board of Directors is an interesting set of very committed individuals. As you're probably aware, half of the directors come out of the co-op program and the other half are appointed for their technical expertise and knowledge. It's rare that you would find a organisation where members have such a high prevalence on the board and where your concerns can be genuinely represented at a strategic level.
There we go. Okay, it's Gordon Kieselbach from Geelong West Circ. I'm the chairman of the current Circ. Our Circ has been in existence under the CEHL auspices since about 1988, I believe. It probably is a little bit longer, or it could be a little bit shorter. So basically what we've got a board of management of those elected by the people at an AGM, which is our annual general meeting held in November. And what that comprises is myself, chairman, and we elect these positions for approximately 2 years. And we usually try and do 3 blocks. We do a treasurer, which was usually the alternate year. We also try and do a tenant selection person every alternate year, and the rest of them, like the maintenance director, and also a participation person, and also the rental officer, who is also a director. And we try and alternate those so that we don't have a total loss of board members. Everyone's obliged under the tenancy to help do some work for the Circ. And part of their obligation is to allow us to give them some sort of choice as to what they want to do with regards to maintenance, finance, secretarial work, like someone going to pick up the mail and deliver it to the secretary's home address, or a point where she can pick them up, or he. Okay, moving along, what does the chairman actually do? The chairman actually has a very important role in the CERC or any co-op. What they have to do is they have to chair all meetings. They also have to chair directors' meetings. Now, there are two distinct differences. The first one is for a general meeting or special meeting, which is held 4 times a year, usually. And what we do is we meet usually the last Thursday of each month. And we sit down and we go through. We also have a process of meeting an agenda, which I meet with the secretary or try and meet with the secretary. Normally these have been put in place because of our situation that we've used, is to have an agenda made up, and we basically follow that from week to week or month to month or meeting to meeting. And my job is purely to direct the meeting. It's not to run the meeting per se and say, you do this, you do that, hang on, I'm talking all the time. It's a facilitator of people and their ideas, because it's supposed to be a co-op and we have to do it. We have to do it. Sometimes when we have our meetings, we also have some things that arise, or some particular situation arises which can cause a bit of conflict, a disagreement between several of the members. What we try and do is do it on a democratic basis, work on the fact that everyone has a right to say something, and what we try and do is allow them to do that within the rules of debate, so it doesn't go too long. And that's probably part of my role, is to allow that to happen, but also to call points of order and stuff like that. So we try and do it democratically. We also try and allow, and I don't want to be seen to be leading the bunch, I just want to let people have the discussion. But I do respect people wanting to have a say. I also don't disagree with them, but also try and suggest, well, perhaps we might do it a different way, or has anyone else got any ideas how we should best describe it? So I seek all that, and then I get someone to either move a motion or discuss it or defer it or whatever the case may be. Just purely you're trying to arrive at it so that everyone's got a reasonable grip on it, and I think that's the most important thing. I try and talk to people and say, look, how would you feel about doing this, rather than saying, oh, you're going to do it, or wait till the night we want to call for nominations. And trying to get that message across to people is it's a co-op, it's their co-op. If they want things to run the way they want them to do it, they have to participate. And if they don't participate in it, how can we get it done? So that's basically what we do. Okay, the main thing that I've learnt from being chairman of this particular organisation is multi. Possibly humility is probably the biggest thing. The ability to work with people who have totally different ideas on how things should run, whether it's a social program, whether it's a different type of program. It's not cheap housing for the fact that it's cheap housing. Yes, I've got cheap housing and I can bludge on the rest of them. Everyone has to pull their weight. So what you have to learn to do is be able to learn to talk to those people and inform them in a proper way on how the best thing for us to do to survive and keep the program going is for everyone to participate. Because the better we participate and share things together, like a problem shared is a problem halved as far as I'm concerned. Now, we're trying to allow the cooperative to manage itself, but we need people to do that. So there are certain tasks that have to be done. And I think that we've got a good bunch of people at the moment, and naturally, and the records will state, we've gone from being one of the worst performing CERCs to being one of the better ones in the CERC, I believe. I've also learned a lot because I've also attended a SWAC, which is South Western Association of CERCs, which covers a lot of Geelong, Colac and Warrnambool. And what that taught me too was there are a lot of other CERCs that are in the same problem areas, they've got the same areas but in different formats, and the hardest part for them to learn is having someone to lead them through it, because problems are just solutions looking to be made.
Hello, I'm Diane. I've been in the co-op as a secretary for just this year. Mm-hmm. So part of being a secretary is making sure you collect the mail, take it to the directors' meetings, take minutes of the meetings, that's directors and general meetings, And keeping records, we have a secure place for those as well at the office, and making sure that mail goes out to other members or directors. My role as the secretary, I attend the directors' meetings as well as the general meetings, and I take minutes which I basically have to record reasonably accurately, not word for word, but just an overview of the whole meeting, and distributing mail to anyone that has been sent the mail, and we discuss that at the directors' meetings as well. Also, the minutes have to be typed up and sent out. With the directors' minutes, they go out to all members, and the members need to read them before they come to a general meeting. And at the general meeting, there'll be more minutes taken there as well, so that everything is documented. Everyone can look back and see, have a copy of all that's been discussed. And I probably work closely with, I can't say I have a close connection with one director than the other. The chairperson I sit closely with, obviously, because I need to get as much information as I can, so I need to be able to just relay what they've got to say, as well as listening to the other board members. But we all work together as a team as part of the cooperative, and it's really important that we do all have our role to come together and pass on any information that we all need to keep the circ running well. Now, there are records that I need to keep. There'll be a member register, and also every year we have to document who has come up on directors, and we also have a mail register. We have to document the incoming mail that comes through, and the outgoings also taken in the other meetings. They're all kept securely at the office, and we also have what they call a common seal that we use when there's a changeover in the role of directors as well, and there's usually a changeover every 12 months, even though each role has a 2-year role term. Yes, we have a copy of the rules and policies that every member receives when they join the circ. Every member has a copy themselves, and we also keep a master copy with our files. And on occasion there might be an amendment to one of those policies or rules, and that's put forward to our policy committee, and that's taken to a meeting. It's discussed, and if there are any changes, it's amended, and we put that sort of overrides what we had before. But that doesn't happen regular. It's not a regular thing. We pretty much have a standard.
Hi, I'm Anne from Geelong West Circ, and I'm the Treasurer. My main responsibilities are paying the accounts and writing out a report for monthly meetings. I work closely with the bookkeeper in our circ. She does our statements, and if I need any bank balance or rents or anything like that, I can just call her and she can give me the information. We pay all our accounts by cheque. We pay water rates and land rates and our rents by direct debit. Accounts are approved at our directors' meetings monthly. The chequebook is kept by myself, and we have 2 signatures required on every cheque, and we never sign a blank cheque. I provide a financial statement to each directors' meeting that shows our expenses and our income, and the financial report and expenditure report gets sent out to all our members each month, so they know where our money is going and what income we have. The co-op's income comes from members' rents, the ATO BAS statements, and our interest on our investment accounts. My role in relation to rents is to check that the rent reports are correct, and if a member's income changes, they need a new rent. I work with the bookkeeper to come up with that rent. To prevent fraud, every cheque needs 2 signatures and a cheque rec to be filled out with 2 signatures, and our accounts are usually dealt with at a directors' meeting.
I'm Rhonda Jaruga from Southern Cirque. I have had the maintenance position for the last 14 years. The role entails carrying out or organising maintenance work on properties as it comes up for work to be carried out. It entails doing house inspections once every 12 months, and you have to carry out budget projection for here. Usually it's done with the treasurer and worked out on the budgets. You usually do work quite closely with your treasurer or the committee. When we work out the budgets, they go to the committee for approval as to what we have done. Planned maintenance is the budget that we have worked out for 12 months. Emergency maintenance is the everyday emergencies that crop up. Might be a hot water service breaking down, a heater that needs to be replaced because it's broken down and can't be repaired, anything to do with water leakage, gas leakage, electricity is all carried out straight away. House inspections are organised we do them every 12 months. We send out notification to the tenants a week before we are doing the house inspection. They always know from our previous meetings months in advance that they're coming up. So what we do then is send out that notification. If someone can't be available on that day, we are flexible and change them over. Two members usually attend on every house inspections. Sometimes there'll be 3 if we've got someone in training. We go in, we're not going in to tell people how they're living their life. We're going in for the damage on properties or the expected maintenance we will have in the coming years. So what we go in to the property, we ask the tenants if they have any problems first with any doors, leaking taps or anything. Then we start to carry out our inspections room by room and go through the basics of everything that we need to check. One of the biggest things we check for with sliding windows and everything is to make sure that those rungs and that are clean, and the only reason being for that is that the wheels under those windows will not keep working if they're not. So, and you just go through room by room, check, your power points, whether they're damaged or not, check your windows, ask the tenants, do they slide in that? You don't really want to be opening up windows in horrible weather. And it's good to do them sometimes in the wet weather because then we find whether we've got leaks, whether we have got water problems sitting around in properties and everything else. And yeah, that's basically all they're about.
Thanks.
They get a copy of the inspection form.
Right.
Because they're done in duplicate, and they also may receive a letter of things that they need to fix. If it's something that's just minor, it's just a letter. If there is a lot of damage caused by a tenant, they could find that they get a breach of duty notice, which is sent out, and they've usually got 28 days to fix the problem. When you're a director, you're on the committee, you attend the committee meetings. Maintenance director puts in a report of what's been done and what's coming up. Also, you're in the decision making of the actual running of the circ and how things go. The directors meet once a month. The only time they have off usually is January. It's usually a break for everybody. And then we start work again in February. But maintenance never stops. If there's something that needs to be done, it's still carried out over that time. Maintenance is done by, if it's an emergency, you ring the chairperson and he contacts the appropriate person to do the work that needs to be done, or you submit a household maintenance request form, which every tenant has, and they're given new ones at meetings if they haven't got any left. They fill that out, it's submitted to the office, that maintenance form goes before the committee meeting and it's passed to be done. Usually emergency maintenance isn't done on those forms, that is a phone call, but we like to still fill one of those forms out, and they're all carried out that way. If it's a non-emergency thing that they need done, it might be carried out in that next month, it may not, depending on how threatening it is to things. So usually they're carried out because we like to keep our houses up to a standard, and we find that if you fix that little thing when it's a minute job, it's better to leave it than it become a big one. The biggest challenge of my role is getting into a property to do work.
Really?
You will find that tenants seem to think that there is a tradesperson ready and waiting to do a job 5 minutes after their request is put in. And the whole thing is, you may have a time that you can get that tradesperson there and that tenant doesn't want to let you in on that time. Or they will only hang around 15 minutes waiting for that tradesperson. In the real world, it doesn't happen that way. It would be good if it did, but it doesn't. So therefore, if we have really big problems, that is where we go to the rules and regulations that we can enter a property to repair it with the proper notification. Most I like about the role is the learning process of going through and learning what to look for first on a property, and I suppose I owe that to our property officer. And that's what I say to any maintenance director: work with your property officer. They are not the enemy, they're there to help you. My property officer years ago, who isn't with us anymore, taught me that you work from the roof down. And our biggest motto, and it carries on with whoever takes over the job, is it's what the house needs, not what the tenant wants.
My name's Tanya and my role is rental officer. My job is to monitor rental payments on a regular basis. This can be done by checking bank statements or on the internet, which is how I do it because it's more up to date. My another role is to contact tenants that have fallen behind in their rent and discuss options. Another role is to attend BCAT hearings when needed to recover arrears or vacant possession orders when required. BCAT is the court that controls the tenancies, so if there's any problems with people not paying their rent, that's where they end up, and the court makes decisions on either a rental agreement or to take legal possession of the property. I also have to report to directors on a monthly basis to let everybody know where we're up to with rent, to make sure everyone's paying on time. Rental payments are important to the co-op because we use the money to pay the co-op's rent to CEHL, maintain house upkeep and any maintenance that needs to be done to the properties. It also pays for all the bills associated with our houses, so no rent, and we just fall in a heap as co-op. Members have 3 options to pay their rents. First off, if they receive Centrelink payments, their rents can be debited from their payments at no cost to them. The CERC is charged 99 cents per debit, but that cost does not go on to the tenant. Secondly, direct debit from a nominated bank account. Some banks do charge for this service. Option 1 and 2 are our preferred way of paying rent because then it's out of your hands, you don't have to worry about it, it's all done for you. Third option is to get a deposit book, which we as a co-op would issue you from the bank, and then you physically go in and pay the rent on a weekly, fortnightly basis. Okay, in our co-op the tenancy agreement says that the rent should be paid on a weekly or fortnightly basis. Every month, our bookkeeper updates her records and issues rent cards to all our tenants via email or post, whatever you prefer. The rent card shows the rents charged on a fortnightly basis. Sometimes there is a weekly charge depending on the amount of weeks in that month. It shows when you have paid rent and what the balance is at the end of that month.
Welcome very much to the Co-op program. I hope you enjoy it. Come for the ride with us. It'll be a good one.